everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, fresh off a brand new do. Brandon Marshall already has one. Kevin Wild still rocking one. I'm Jenna Wolfe. He looks good with that new haircut. It was dangerously close for Nick Wright with that Chiefs game this weekend. But, boy, we had a tremendous Sunday football.
Jenna, never a doubt.
Never a doubt. Look at his fingernails. Look at his fingernails.
No.
There was some doubt. Just a great weekend. So many games coming down to the wire. We're going to start with the last one played Sunday night, last night. Seahawks and Patriots. What a great way to start. This one came down to the last play. Pats at the goal line, down 5 with a chance to win. Give it to Cam. He'll power it in. Except when he can't. He is stuffed. He is stopped right at the goal line. Great game here on this, but Seattle would win happily. Both Cam and Russ putting on a show as expected. 8 total touchdowns between Russ and Cam. After the game, though, Cam Newton on what happened on that final play.
Yeah, it was a great play by them. That's a play we had favored in the game plan. We ran it a couple times and figured, I think we probably went to the well too many times, but at the end of the day, I felt confident about it. We just got to execute. And I could have bounced it, looking at the clip. I just got to be better. Just got to be better here at the end. And, we put ourselves in a position to win. And, when you do that, you just got to finish, and we didn't do that today.
Brandon, it is hard to put this loss on Cam Newton's shoulders. He had a tremendous night, but what did you see on that final play there?
Well, first of all, I was shocked that they were even in that position. When you look at the way they played this game, they played this like they had a lot of chemistry, like they were in mid-season form. Seattle, I expected that from them, but for the New England Patriots to fly across the country and to be in a ball game in the fourth quarter against that team was impressive. Cam took the words out of my mouth. I felt like they went to the well one too many times as well. I was listening to the broadcast, and the guys took the field, and then all you heard the guys say, well, they're going into their heavy package. I said, what? A couple tight ends, a couple tackles. I said, they're doing it again? And then the first thing I thought about was like, oh, this is classic Josh McDaniels. They've been setting this up. They're going to do like a little pop pass where Cam Newton takes off to the left or takes off to the right. You see the tight end, creep out, and then he's wide open in the back of the end zone. But then they took off and ran. I said, oh, no, of course Seattle was prepared for this, because if you look at New England Patriots' red zone offense, they do a phenomenal job of running the ball. All this is an extension of what they've already done for the past 20 years with Tom Brady, or the past 10 years, actually, with Tom Brady, with their run game. Run to the left, run to the right, and they do the same thing over and over and over again, and it works. But when you have Cam Newton, this is why I thought it was a little bit of disappointment to see them, call this play. Because you can give him a run-pass option. What if we go empty set, and then you have wide receivers coming in on a slant? They're there, you take them. If they go a full-out blitz, hit the slants, hit the fade route, hit the middle fade. But what they did is they put him in a box where he can only do one thing. And that's why I thought it was disappointing, Nick, because when you have Cam Newton, you spread them out, you make the decision, you make the defense show their cards. And they didn't do that, and this is a disappointment because they could have easily won this game. But they should be proud of themselves. And everyone in New England, including you, Wilds, everyone should feel really good about what they're seeing out of the New England team.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, I do. Brandon, and Wild, I'll get to you in just a moment, because this game, I don't know if you remember, I said, how do I want Patriot games to go? For Cam to play great and they to lose in heartbreak.
Yeah,
check and check. Everything came up Nick Wright this weekend. Chiefs hitting 60-yard field goals. Anthony Davis hitting game winners. Like, ever since the Clippers lost, it's just everything's coming. The teaser hit, but okay, on the play.
New haircut.
I agree with nearly everything. I know, everything's great.
Yourself,
absolutely. Brandon, I agree with nearly everything you said, with one small exception. I understand that maybe even if you are going to go heavy, if you have that going to the right where it would be an easier throw if the run is blown up. I understand that. They did score a touchdown on a play like that to Jakob Johnson, the fullback here who gets annihilated. The only reason, well, the reason I will defend the Patriots here is sometimes you got to shake the other guy's hand. And L.J. Collier made a brilliant play. Like, if Jakob Johnson holds up, Cam walks in. Cam can just go around the side, go around to the side and walk in. L.J. Collier, a first-round pick for this team from a couple years ago, he came in and made a massive play on a fullback who had been playing great the whole game. But I agree with you entirely that if there is such a thing as a moral victory, one where Cam Newton throws for almost 400 yards, where you're down 12 to this Seattle team, and he leads a 75-yard touchdown drive in the final 5 minutes, and then you needed 80. He took you 79 yards in the final 2 minutes, throws for nearly 400. Julian Edelman, you know, has the best game he's had arguably in his entire career. Wilds, if I'm a Pats fan, I am feeling great about how this went.
Make sure.
Oh, okay. So
make sure you say Hall of Famer.
I'm not. It's Brandon. I can't believe you of all people would say that. But Wilds
is rubbing off on me. He's rubbing off on me.
You got to feel good. Like, you'd want to get the win, but good. Seattle's Brandon's Super Bowl pick. Seattle's an excellent team, and you played a great game. And Cam looked as sharp as I've seen Cam look in years. He was just dropping dimes throughout the game. It wasn't just with his legs, Wilds.
Almost too fast. That one to Hall of Famer Julian Edelman in the end zone was almost too fast. He's throwing the ball about 200 miles an hour.
Yeah,
so
dropped the game-winning touchdown
Hall of Famer Julian
pass.
Edelman missed it.
Dropped the game-winning touchdown.
The ball's 200 miles an hour. I don't know what you want the guy to do. Nick, I'll throw it back to you. As a fellow Patriots fan, were you rooting for Cam to score in the goal line? Were you like, I hope we get this in? Or were you rooting for him to get stopped? Be 100% honest. Be 100% honest. Were you rooting for Cam to get stopped, or were you rooting for the Patriots and Cam to score a touchdown? Be 100% honest. Don't lie to America. Be honest.
I was rooting for Cam to score and have it be called back because Edelman did something illegal. And then they lose. But that's not what he wasn't on the field, so it's not what happened. Jenna, Edelman dropped the game winner. Cam could have had a dime for the win. It goes through his hands. Brandon Marshall catches that. Real Hall of Famers catch that. Your guy dropped the game winner, Wilds.
It was a great measuring stick for the New England Patriots to see where they are this early on in the season going up against a great Seattle team. All right, well, this game capped an incredible day of football across the NFL. The Cowboys found the most improbable way to win yesterday. We're going to break down all that chaos in their game against the Falcons.
This is awful.
This is first things first.
Awful. I cannot believe that happened.
Let's get back to an actual game. Cowboys-Falcons. What a game. Picked this up late. Cowboys needed to recover an onside kick to stay alive, but nobody does that. Unless you're the Cowboys, apparently. Great kick by Greg Zuerlein. Dak just had to drive the Cowboys down the field for a field goal. He found CeeDee Lamb to set up Greg Zuerlein for a 46-yarder. All of that as time expired. Cowboys, hey, they were down by 20 points after the first quarter, come all the way back to beat the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. Here is Dak Prescott after the win.
Yeah, this is huge. Coach McCarthy said it at halftime, we need to be here. We need to be right where we are. And he said the final score didn't matter as much as finding out the type of men that we have, the type of fight that we have within this team. But as I said, to show the resiliency to go out there and continue to fight, continue at it, and just be able to come out with the win. It does so much. Obviously, way better than starting 0-2, but going 1-1 and having a lot of confidence after we put ourselves in such a big hole in the first quarter. Just to stay at it, and everybody believes in each other. That was huge in so many ways.
On the off chance you forgot which team Dak Prescott played for, he made sure he reminded you in that post-game press conference. So good. Brandon, what did you make of the Cowboys' 20-point comeback yesterday against Atlanta?
Let's get the football out of the way first, and then I want to just speak from a fan's perspective. The football side of things is this: we understand if you lose the turnover battle, you're probably going to lose the game. for them to be able to overcome that, being down 20 in the first quarter, 3 turnovers, that's unbelievable. I think they had like a 0.1% chance of winning that game. Like, that was the probability. So hats off to the Dallas Cowboys for rallying in the locker room at halftime. Coach McCarthy obviously gave a great speech. Maybe Doc Rivers can learn from that. That's the football side of things. But from a fan's perspective, it's like, who are we dealing with? What type of team is this? The Dallas Cowboys. I mean, man, are we going to deal with this all year, this roller coaster ride? Exactly, are you a contender or you're a pretender? I think all of us had our takes ready to go at the end of that first quarter, ready to destroy the Dallas Cowboys. I think I even tweeted. Yeah. I tweeted out something that, you know, this team like a JV team, and then they come back and do this. They did the impossible. And then I also want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Like, are you serious?
Yes.
I mean, if any team knows
inventing ways to
lose a game,
exactly.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Dan Quinn, I don't see how Dan Quinn survives this. Nick, I don't see how Dan Quinn survives this year. If this continues, the most underperforming team that we have seen in the last 4 years. So from a fan's perspective, you know, I was just all over the place watching this game. Didn't know who to follow and why the hell I was following them. So, you know, it was an exciting game, and I'm happy for the Cowboys. But come on, man, I don't want to track this all year. Or the pretenders or contenders. So, come on.
Brandon, listen, man. All those takes you said folks had ready after the first quarter, I'm still going to deliver them. Because that was the biggest gift of a victory maybe we have seen in the NFL ever. You were talking about the percentages. So here are the numbers, all right? Teams in NFL history that score at least 39 points and don't turn the ball over were previously 441-0, according to Elias, until the Falcons broke that stretch. And why did they break it? Because their players don't know the rules. It's the Cowboys who can't touch the ball. You can touch it, Atlanta. You can bat it out of bounds. You can kick it. You can do anything other than look at it like it's a nuclear bomb. This is, the Cowboys get a victory in the standings, but they do not get a victory in my heart. And I say that as a team, as a guy who picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I'd love to be able to sit on here and tell you, this is why I picked the Cowboys, because they showed unbelievable tenacity to come back. No, this was a present from a team in Atlanta that invents new ways to lose football games. You said you think, you don't know how Dan Quinn survives it. Well, he survived a 5-game losing streak in the heart of the season in 2018. He survived a 1-7 start last year, so maybe he does survive it. But that's coaching. Your players didn't know, they panicked. They didn't know the rules.
No, this is tough,
people
Nick,
say it's a great kick by Zerline. Just fall on the ball.
It is.
The ball is going a quarter of a mile. Look, they're moving away from it.
No, Nick, this is hard. I mean, as a wide receiver that's been in this situation so many times, the speed was perfect because what we're taught is if it's a high hopper, a ball that's coming fast, then we can sit back and wait on it. But in this situation, we know the rules that if it doesn't go past 10, then it's a penalty. It's our ball. You wait there. It was the perfect speed to make someone indecisive. That's all I can say. This was a tough spot for the Atlanta Falcons, and a lot of people are crushing them. You're not the only ones, but we sit in these meetings every single week, and we talk about these scenarios and these situations. We practice so many different types of kicks, and this kicker hit it the perfect way with the perfect speed. Like, what do you do if you're in a situation? This looks like it's not going to make it to 10, and it did. No, because if you fall on it, Nick, it becomes, and you don't get it, it becomes a live ball. So the best situation is to stay away from it totally. Perfect speed.
Wilds?
Yeah, Brandon, there's something called diffusion of responsibility, and it rears its head in all sorts of ways in the world. And it's most innocuous. It's like, hey, let's bring food to the picnic, and everyone assumes that someone else is bringing the drinks, and there's no drinks at the place. And it's worse. You at a car accident, you're supposed to say like, hey, you in the blue shirt, call 911, or no one calls 911. So in this case, Brandon, when you're lined up, is there a specific person, it's like, I'm going to get the ball?
Yeah.
Or is it just like, and you guys block? Or is it just like, let's all get the ball if it comes to us, and then no one gets the ball?
Yeah, let's see that. Let's see that clip again. I mean, if you look at it, the guys on the front line, they're taught to not touch the ball and to go block for the guy in the back, okay? The guy on the second level, and who is that? What number is that? Is that Julio, number 11? That's Julio's job.
Julio.
If that's Julio, I don't know if that's Julio. That's Julio's ball. So it puts everybody in a tough position because when it's barely going to get to 10, the front line, their job is not to touch the ball. It's Julio's job to go get that. But Julio's sitting back like this ball's not going to make it to 10. So this is a tough spot, and you got to give this kicker a lot of credit. I mean, I would say it's luck. This is something that we haven't really seen a lot, guys kicking it this way off the tee. But this was the perfect speed. I got to say that, because if it was slower, then everybody's okay. The ball doesn't make it to 10. If it's a little faster, Julio Jones takes off and he goes to get the ball. But this was just like this storm for the Atlanta Falcons.
Look at 48.
Yeah, without a tee. And then came back and kicked the 46-yarder to help them win. Regardless, it goes in the books as a W, and now they can move on to next week. All right, let's put a grade on it. Tom Brady leading the Bucs to a win in Tampa's home opener over Carolina yesterday. Brady threw for 217 yards and a touchdown to Mike Evans. So, Brandon Marshall, put a grade on Tom Brady's Week 2 performance.
Yeah, I love watching him get the ball out fast. I love watching him get to his first and second read quick. But I have to give him a B. There was a lot of missed opportunities there. But this is exactly what I expect Tom to look like in Week 2 in a new system.
I'm going elementary school grades. I'm going G for good, and also G for Gronk. Like, poor Gronk got one target and got intercepted. I'm starting to get worried about my buddy Gronk, that he's not going to be this force that we expected this year, Nick.
Well, I'm starting to get worried about the standard that America's evidently decided to hold Tom Brady to. We're giving him B's, we're giving him good for a 2-turnover, 200-yard performance against a team that might end up with the #1 pick of the draft. Bravo. I mean, well done. I mean, are we grading him on a curve? Is there any, seriously, like, what are we doing here?
So what's your grade?
I mean,
what's your grade?
I give him a C. I give him a C, and I write on the bottom of the paper a star. Congrats on avoiding the shove. He did avoid his 4th straight game with a pick 6. So that streak is broken. He deserves credit for that. But the overall game, come on,
man, you're
guys,
tough.
2 turnovers, 200 yards. I mean, I'm not tough. I'm honest. He made one great throw down the sideline. One great throw.
All right, well, you know who did quarterback a great game, in Nick's opinion, Mr. Unlimited, is Russ, poised to win his first MVP. That's next. First things first.
Oh, wow. I like when you call him Mr. Unlimited.
We've got a huge doubleheader on Fox. First, the Niners take on the Giants, or other regional action. Then Dak and Zeke lead the Cowboys against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. Both teams coming off wins. That's America's Game of the Week. Check your local listings for the games in your area, or watch it on the Fox Sports app. All right, time now for a little drawing a blank. It's going to be a busy one. We got a lot to get to. The Cowboys pulled off the improbable yesterday with their onside kick heroics that led to the game-winning field goal. They avoid the dreaded 0-2 start. Sorry, Philadelphia Eagles. But, Brandon, the most impressive performance on Sunday was blank.
The most impressive win on Sunday, I have to go with Russell Wilson. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. That 1 interception just bounced off of Greg Olsen's hands. Outside of that catch and that play, we're looking at a guy that could be perfect on the season. This is the year Russell Wilson wins MVP.
Oh, already talking MVPs.
Like that.
Russell was unbelievable, but we've seen him play like that before. I think we saw it in Week 1. I'm going to go with the team that actually lost. Most impressive performance was the Chargers' defense. They held Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' offense to the second fewest points any team has held them since he took over. Mahomes was under duress the whole game. That first half was the worst the Chiefs' offense has looked in years. Now, they weren't able to get the win, but I thought that Chargers defense, particularly in a game where they knew they were going to have to play well because they made a quarterback change right before opening kickoff, came out ready to play and was fantastic. So I give the Chargers defense immense credit. I don't know why we just keep throwing Mahomes getting thrown down. I mean, it's a little, you can show other highlights. But Chargers defense, it's a great job by them. It's a great job by them.
Can I interrupt on the Chargers defense? Nick Wright will famously give out his cell phone number at the bar if you see him, so you can just text him football takes and he'll fire back at you. I think Anthony Lynn needs your number. And when they're about to punt, when it's 4th and 1, they're like, hey, Nick, do you want me to punt?
Do it.
And you would exactly. So don't do it.
Punt.
And I know the defense is great, but that is a terrible
overtime.
That's a terrible call. The kicker's already hit a 58-yarder. Surprise, surprise, he hits another 58-yarder. He had like 4 in the game if you count the timeouts. It's a brutal.
Yeah, I love Anthony Lynn. I love Anthony Lynn, and I love him even more for that. Good job, Wilds. I did text him.
It's brutal.
You can stop Mahomes. I'm certain of it.
It's insane. The real answer, though, Hall of Famer Julian Edelman, Jenna, career game from the Hall of Famer, eight catches, 179 yards.
He
didn't drop it. It went through his hands because Cam Newton throws a ball faster than anyone in the history of the planet.
Well, it's
he had a good game. He had a great game.
He isn't used to. Edelman's not used to playing with a guy with a strong arm. That is true.
Carson Wentz was unable to help his Eagles bounce back yesterday against the Rams in the battle of number 1 versus number 2 picks in that 2016 draft. 2 more interceptions for Wentz. Brandon, the most disappointing performance on Sunday was blank.
Yeah, there's so many ways I could have went with this one. I had to get creative. MetLife Stadium, that turf. You lose Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa to injury. I mean, I'm glad that the NFL is taking a second look at this turf. I snapped my deltoid on that turf. In my ankle. That's something that you're not supposed to snap. I'm so thankful that the NFL is finally taking a second look at this, because when you got 2 of the premier players on the defense on the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers, this is a problem. It's a huge problem for every team going in there.
And so that turf, obviously, they got to look at. And the injuries yesterday, even outside of that game, were brutal. The Saquon one, it just hurts your heart. Like, there were injuries up at. Tyrod Taylor got injured, evidently, in the pre-game, before the warm-ups, dealing with chest pains. Just brutal day in the NFL. But I'm going to go to someone that didn't get hurt, Kirk Cousins. Now, if you were watching the NFL, there were 10 early games on. So if you're watching a handful of other games and have a game on Red Zone, you didn't even know this game was being played. Siciliano showed you like one highlight from this game early, and then they never came back to it. It was just like, okay, this game is over. Cousins was horrible. 11 of 26, 113 yards, and 3 picks. For a Vikings team, it can get awful late pretty early in that division. So just a brutal game for Kirk Cousins, who's made more money in the NFL over the last 4 years than any player and needs to start playing like it, Wilds.
Earlier in the show, Brandon got very close to criticizing Julio Jones, but Julio Jones is in criticism-free. He's got a criticism-free Kevin Wildes coupon. He never needs to cash in. We'll never criticize Julio Jones. But he did drop a touchdown. And, Brandon, you were saying that was his ball. And Nick, meanwhile, wants to fire Dan Quinn because it's coaching to jump on the ball. Yeah, somebody's coaching. Yeah. It's not the NFL. High school coaches. Terrible performance. If you're the high school coach of a Falcons special team player that's lined up there, go to the principal or the athletic director. You got to hand in your resignation. Or at least, Joe Judge style, do a few laps this morning because you didn't teach these guys to jump on the ball for 10 yards. Well, no, that's too much. You know, just laps is fine.
I love Julio.
On to he never takes it too
I know,
far.
but you said it wasn't his fault.
On to the Chiefs. They needed a Harrison Butker 58-yard field goal to beat the Chargers in overtime. Not the same old Chiefs we saw in week 1. Are we overreacting? Some might say yes. But Brandon, I'll start with you. The biggest overreaction this morning will be blank.
Justin Herbert should be the starting quarterback for the LA Chargers. That's going to be the biggest overreaction. If you really look at this game closely, the kid he looked like a rookie at times, and they couldn't open up their offense. So Tyrod Taylor gives you the best opportunity to win. It's a win-now moment for this team. Justin Herbert, the starter, is the biggest overreaction.
I got to ask you, we got to stay here for a second. So you're saying Tyrod should get his starting job back like Anthony Lynn. You're saying the overreaction would be Justin Herbert should start. As a man who, by the way, gave out to America a free money teaser, needed the Ravens to win and the Chiefs to win by at least 2.5, I'm going to tell you this much. It made me nervous when I saw Tyrod wasn't playing. It's like, oh, Chargers offense might actually have some life. You think they should go back to Tyrod Taylor next week? I know Herbert made the one terrible mistake, but you think they should go back to Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah, you got to look at it. There's two things that jump out to me. Number one, that's your leader. Like, everyone in that locker room knows that's the guy. So if you take him out of that huddle, that could disrupt the entire culture of that team. And the second thing, it comes down to situational football. I'm not sure if I want to be in that locker room with this guy learning on my time. Like, I don't want this guy leading me in the 4-minute offense, 2-minute offense, 3rd down offense, red zone offense. He's not the guy. He's not ready right now, but he will be. He'll be great down the line.
Okay, I'm going to say the biggest overreaction is going to have everything to do with the Bucs. They beat maybe the worst team in football in Carolina, and next week they're going to get to play another one of the worst teams in football, Denver. We know Drew Lock got hurt. Jeff Driscoll's their backup. So the Bucs are going to be 2-1, and folks are going to start talking, the Bucs, are they real contenders in the NFC South? The answer is no, they're not. They just beat a terrible team yesterday. So, Wilds, that's my biggest overreaction.
My biggest overreaction is people criticizing Tyreek Hill. He scores the touchdown, then takes off his helmet, and during the game and on social media, they're like, I took off his helmet, it's supposed to be a 15-yard penalty. Meanwhile, Tyreek Hill's like, nah, I didn't take off my helmet. I would never do that. And everybody's like, huh? But it's such an outrageous statement that he's saying he didn't take off his helmet. I tend to believe him. It's like, I guess he says he didn't take it off. He would never do that. So
he said to celebrate.
It's an odd overreaction that people are saying he's a liar, and even though he is taking it off.
To celebrate.
I believe him.
Right, Brandon?
I believe him. He said I didn't.
Yes, it's exactly what he said.
It's
iffy, though. It's an iffy situation, Wow.
Let's move on.
It's huge.
Nick, you mentioned Kirk Cousins' struggles. Minnesota dropped to 0-2 with the loss in Indy, the one that nobody watched, that no one knew was on. I know it's hard to pull anything good out of 0-2, but Brandon, the best 0-2 team is blank.
I say this with a lot of reluctancy. The Texans. I mean, no team has had a tougher start in the last 60 years than them. And you can also say going into Pittsburgh this week is another tough game. So they could potentially start 0-3 and still back into the playoffs.
I 100% agree. They got some Browns and Bengals games coming up to sort of soften up their schedule, but I agree with the Texans, Nick.
Okay, so you guys are both wrong. Here are the 0-2 teams. Jets, Bengals, Texans, Broncos, Giants, Eagles, Lions, Vikings, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins. The correct answer is none of them. They all stink. No. Miami's the only one with a hope, but that's only if they go to Tua eventually. All of them stink. The only one I give any chance to is the Dolphins. What are you mad about, Wilds? It's the right. We'll come back. You know how they always say 11% of 0-2 teams make the playoffs.
I didn't say or
well,
none.
This year it's going to be 0%. None of them going to make the playoffs unless Tua comes into the offense quickly. All of them stink. The Texans stink. The Jets stink. The Falcons stink. They all stink.
Isn't that it, huh, Jenna?
Teams
Jenna, was that your question? Jenna, was that your question?
That wasn't my question.
It wasn't your question,
no, of course it wasn't my question. I didn't say, Nick, here's a question. Answer it however you may like. Use your own rules,
then I'll answer
parameters.
The best 0-2 team, the best 0-2 team, Denver, is the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets is the best 0-2 team.
I'll give you that one. I'll give that one to you. Hey, Cam Newton and the Patriots coming up just short in Seattle. We'll break it down. Next, this is First Things First. Morning, Patriots, Seahawks. I tried to tell him that. He keeps telling me he doesn't. This one came down to the last 3 seconds. Pass at the goal line, down 5 with a chance, and Cam gets stuffed. Not even close. Cam, though, and Russ did put on a show. 8 total touchdowns between them, but the Patriots coming up just short. Here is Cam Newton on getting denied on that last play.
Yeah, it was a great play by them. That's a play we had favored in the game plan. We ran it a couple times and figured, this thing we probably went to the well too many times, but at the end of the day, still felt confident about it. We just got to execute. And I could have bounced it, looking at the clip. I just got to be better. Just got to be better here at the end. And, we put ourselves in a position to win. And, when you do that, you gotta finish, and we didn't do that today.
And with that, we welcome in our quarterback, Michael Vick. Mike, let's start there. What'd you make of that final play of the game?
Like Cam said, they may have went to the well one too many times with that play, but that's a play that they've executed well over the last 2 weeks. And I think he scored a touchdown early on a similar play and even had a play action off of that play. So that play is a play that they can use in any situation in third down, red zone, and it's been effective. I honestly don't think it should have came down to that play. There were plays in the game, I think maybe one or two that Cam probably would have wanted back. It was a couple questionable third down calls in which they ran the ball and they didn't allow Cam to throw the football. So it probably should have never came down to that one play in particular, but I think Cam played well. He played winning football. He played winning football on both sides. And I was very impressed, highly impressed. But off of this play will stem more plays for the New England Patriots. And Cam just looks really comfortable running the system. And they're going to be a tough team to beat. Not too many teams are going to beat the New England Patriots. I can see this team playing in the postseason easily, but at the same time, they're going to come situations in the game where they're going to have to find ways to win games like this. And I'm pretty sure that they'll go back and look at this film if it comes down to them being in the red zone on the 1 or 2 yard line and finding a way to get it in. I think they was kind of shell-shocked in that moment and just searching for a play call.
Brandon?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. But I thought that call was a tough call. I didn't like the call because when you have Cam Newton, I think that, it's tough to get 1 yard and 1 inch, whether it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, definitely in the red zone. Everyone in the world knew what was about to happen. When I was listening to the broadcast, I heard the guy say, "Oh, they're bringing in heavy." I said, "Heavy? Why right now?" And the first thing that popped out was, that pop play. Seeing Cam fake the run, the draw, and then the tight end get to the back of the end zone. He's wide open. He scores a touchdown. But then when he took off, exactly what I thought would happen happened. They stuffed it. That's their job, is to come in and just collapse everything. So they did. Seattle did a great job there. But when you really look at this game, man, Cam played amazing. I'm shocked that everyone keeps questioning how Cam throws. Can he throw? Can he read his offense, go through his keys and his progression? What do we think? This is Cam Newton. This is the MVP in this league. He's just showing you that he's healthy. I would say this, that, I thought it would take a little longer for Cam to be at this position where he's hitting that mid-season stride. The first week, I thought he was a little rusty. I thought, he didn't have his legs under him. He looked phenomenal last night. If I'm the league, I'm taking notice because this team is tough, because the question coming in was the formula to run this guy 15, 16 times a game? And he showed that he can sit back in the pocket. He showed that he's able to play action, turn his back to the defense, and come out and find his guys going down the field. So this is a dangerous team when you see what they're able to do, not only in the run game, but in the passing game against a strong team.
So, Brandon, to me, there's two kind of parallel stories here. One of them is the final play. And the final play, I just want to give L.J. Collier credit. As predictable as it was, even with everyone knew it was coming, that play works when folks know it's coming. If L.J. Collier doesn't blow up Jakob Johnson, the fullback right here, like, he makes the play, good job by him.
But that's his job.
That should not...
But that's his job.
No, I know that's his job. I get that. His job is to come in and submarine the lead blocker. I get that. My point is, there have been plenty of times in Cam's career and plenty of times in this game when Seattle knew Cam was running it and they couldn't stop it. So I don't hate the play call. But the other storyline is Cam Newton just threw for more yards in this game than a Patriots quarterback has thrown for since the Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl. Like, Cam Newton threw for damn near 400 yards, had the game-winning touchdown pass go through the hands of Julian Edelman. In Julian's defense, he hasn't had a quarterback with real arm strength for a number of years, so he's not used to it. And so, I mean, he put them in position to win. And credit to Bill Barnwell for reminding us of this list, a short list of names of quarterbacks signed this offseason making more money than Cam Newton. Matt Schaub, Chad Henne, A.J. McCarron, Brett Hundley, Jeff Driscoll, Nathan Peterman. All of those guys were signed this offseason for more than Cam is getting.
Yeah.
No, well, and
think about how many teams could have had Cam Newton, Wilds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. I'm ready for extension talks, Jenna. I've been ready for this.
Already?
Like, as soon as we heard that, like, Cam was totally gelling in the locker room and Belichick loves him, I think after these 2 games, even though we're 1-1, I'm like, all right, let's extend Cam. Why do we want Cam to hit the open market? Brandon, are you as enthusiastic as I am to sort of open up the Patriots pocketbook and sign Cam long term?
Pocketbook.
Yeah, but I'm almost positive that you can't touch a contract for a year, you know, so I think they have to wait a little bit.
Oh, I thought he could.
You're right,
No, they could extend him. They can extend him.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're right, Wilds. You're right, Wilds. I mean, this team right here, they found their quarterback. They definitely found their quarterback.
It's my favorite thing.
Absolutely. Whether it happens now or in the next couple of weeks or at the end of the season, I think Cam will be a Patriot for a long time. Why would you let a guy like Cam Newton go? I mean, we all know a good quarterback player is hard to find, and, you know, the next man up, I don't think he'll be able to produce like Cam. So if I'm the New England Patriots and I'm looking at the last 2 weeks, I'm excited about the future.
And Vic, I understand if you're the Patriots and their fans, you're not used to moral victories because you're used to being the favorites. You're used to expecting 12 or 13 wins. But for this Patriots team, those opt-outs on defense, dealing with the emotional shot of James White right before the game is inactive because he's dealing with a true family tragedy. You're on the road against what might be the best team in the whole NFC. And Russell Wilson, after not even a bad pass, a pass goes off the receiver's hands, returned the other way, plays a nearly perfect game. To be a yard away from stealing that win, Mike, if you're the Pats, I feel like you've got to go into next week saying, we can contend right now. Forget rebuilding, forget scraping 9 wins. Like, don't you, if you're New England, feel great, all things considered, about how well you played?
Yeah, if you're the New England Patriots, on that plane ride home, I know Josh McDaniels is looking at that film because you can get the film right after the game. And he's coming up with more play calls, and he's looking at all the things that Cam did well and the things that he can expand on. Now, I think the key is to not try to put too much on Cam's plate, but allow him to just be Cam and, you know, open it up. Yesterday, they opened it up. I mean, he did everything up under the sun. They was in spread. They was in, you know, 3 wides. They was in 4 wides. They ran the football effectively. The offense was open. So now that they have the reins to do whatever they need to do and Cam can handle all the responsibilities, then it opens up the minds of the offensive coordinator and anybody on the offensive side of the ball. So I thought that was a positive. And when I was watching the game, I could just see Cam Newton being a New England Patriot for a long time because he looks really good in that uniform, too.
Yup, right, just got to listen to what Wild said. Tell Bill Belichick, open up your crossbody pocketbook and take out that checkbook and let's sign Cam Newton for years to come. Stick around, Michael Vick. We didn't just have incredible finishes in the NFL. Anthony Davis with the end of all ends in Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals last night. First things first, the pocketbook. No better line. My line of the week. Back here talking Nuggets, Lakers, insane finish in this one. Lakers down 1, time expiring. Anthony Davis, the catch, the shot, and the win. Nailing it from 3. And the Lakers go bananas after this shot. AD scored the Lakers' final 10 points, by the way, to help beat the Nuggets 105. Woo! 103 was your final. They now take a 2-0 series lead. Here's LeBron James on a special moment for AD and the organization.
Well, it's not about making a shot. It's about having a belief of just taking it for one and living with the result. You know, I think right back, you know, to our game right before COVID hit, we played Brooklyn at home, and he had a similar shot right there on that left wing, right in front of their bench for us to win the game, and he missed it. And he was down on himself, but at the end of the day, I told him, I said, listen, man, if you open, and I was able to drive that particular game and find him wide open, and he just missed it. But it's just the confidence to take the shot. You're not going to make them all, but the belief to just take it and live with the results is what it's all about. And you know, tonight was, you know, his moment.
You know, that's a shot Kobe Bryant would hit. You know, so to me, you know, AD coming off, just flying to the wing like that with a catch and shoot with the game on the line in the biggest moment of our season. Nothing but net. It's a Mamba shot.
I love what LeBron had to say. It's not so much about making the shot. It's the belief and the confidence in yourself to take it, which is what, Nick, you've been talking about for a long time, about letting LeBron give the rest of the team the confidence to know they can do it. We welcome in Chris Broussard. Broussard, what'd you make of the final 3 seconds there in Anthony Davis's last shot?
Well, I'm going to combine what LeBron and Frank Vogel said, and I love that he shot it with the confidence of Kobe Bryant. Like, the first thing I love about it is his body language. Even if he had missed it, I like the fact that he took it believing he would make it. There was no hesitancy, nothing like that. Secondly, I love the fact that he shot it over Jokic, who played great defense. You got a 7-footer charging at you. It was good defense. It was just better offense. And thirdly, I like the fact that he bounced back from Jokic literally taking his lunch money 20 seconds earlier when he backed him down and put in the jump, not quite literally, but you know what I mean, but backed him down with the jump hook that looked like it was going to be the go-ahead. He didn't get down. He's a great defensive player, but he didn't let that steal his spirit, and he comes back and hits the shot. I don't want to overstate this, but assuming the Lakers go on to win the championship, which I think they will, we will look back at this shot as the official coming out party for Anthony Davis, when to me, he goes from just being a current great player to an all-time great player. I have said all season long, the big question for the Lakers is, will AD step up and be a go-to guy in the fourth quarter? And I wasn't seeing it for most of the regular season, but in the playoffs, he's been that guy. 64% shooting, 50% from three, 6 points a game in the fourth quarters. And obviously last night he was huge in the fourth quarter. So what this shows is that in the future, people have looked at this as, well, they got 1 year. LeBron's getting older. This is probably their best chance to win it. No, I've always said if AD can improve, become kind of that alpha dog, then they can transition from LeBron being the best player to AD being the best player. LeBron's still great, though, and they can win more championships in the future. So this is the first step, in my view, of that.
You know what that sounded a lot like to me, Broussard? Broussard creaking the door open to join me on the other side of, wait, is 6 rings a real possibility for LeBron Raymond James? I think it very well might be. 4 is locked up. They'll go into next year as the favorites. Yeah. So a couple things quickly here. One is the rough spot for the Nuggets. LeBron has played well for approximately 24 total minutes of the 96 in this series, and they're down 2-0. And unfortunately for the Nuggets, Kawhi, Doc, and the Clippers are not walking through that door, so this series is over. Good night. It was an unbelievable run. But the reason that everyone, Vogel brought it up, AD brought it up, LeBron brought up that shot against Brooklyn is not just because it was in the exact same spot on the court, but also because this is the context as to why the Lakers, even being, so here's the shot against Brooklyn right before the NBA shut down, that why the Lakers, despite being a relatively new unit, that everyone seems to get along so well, that they are so cohesive. Because that is the way LeBron James teams run. Brandon. So LeBron wasn't good yesterday. But in that game against the Nets, the context was they had just beaten the Bucks. They had just beaten the Clippers. LeBron in that game had just missed a layup, and he was trying to catch Giannis in the MVP race that we know matters to him. And so you would have thought against the Nets, LeBron's going to try to take a three to hit a game winner and get that MVP narrative rolling. Instead, trust the process. Find the open man. Make the right play. Live with the results. And while it didn't pay immediate dividends that night, I absolutely believe it helped lead to Anthony Davis having the confidence to take this shot and make this shot. So it was a great finish by AD, Brandon, and the series is now officially, unofficially over for the Nuggets.
Yeah, Nick, let's not glaze over what you said. I mean, you're not far off there when you talked about LeBron potentially sprinting the 6 championships. Like, that's a real deal. When I saw him hit that shot, the first thing that came to my mind was like, wow, LeBron hasn't had a wingman that he can really lean on in these moments since Kyrie hit that shot in Golden State. So when you think about how it's set up over the next couple years, this year, championship number 4 for LeBron, this would probably be the easiest one of them all. Like, I mean, is there ever a better situation to steal a championship, COVID-19, the bubble, and all these other distractions? And then when you look at the makeup of the NBA, the LA Clippers collapsing, you have the Houston Rockets, small ball isn't working for them, and who knows what the offseason is going to look like for them. And then you go over to the East isn't strong. So when you look at AD is a guy that can really carry you for the next couple years, because LeBron has that game that he can adapt. Like, is he out of his prime? He's probably out of his prime. But he's playing at a high level. He's playing some of his best basketball in some key moments. And he has a game where when things slow down, he can still dominate, whether it's running the point guard, whether it's developing a better three-point shot. Like, LeBron is a guy that can adapt to AD becoming the best player, not only on his team, but in the NBA. This was a big shot, not only for this series, but how they're going to approach this offseason for the next couple years.
Wow. So, you know, I think Plumlee's watching this show and be like, all right, Jenna didn't mention it. Broussard didn't mention it. Nick Wright didn't mention it. And Brandon didn't mention it. Maybe I can get through the whole segment. We're about 7 minutes in. Get through the segment without mentioning. Wrong, Plumlee. Here comes your old buddy, Kevin Wild, to crush you. What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? And you can tell me, like, oh, maybe he was going to curl. Maybe you're supposed to switch. This is a terrible, terrible play. But, Nick, you mentioned it earlier in the bubble when Taco Fall was on Kyle Lowry. You're like, that's the end of guarding the inbound pass. So if you wanted to take Joker off and put him on AD or put him on LeBron, double one of those two guys. If someone else beats you, fine. If we look at game-winning shots, LeBron's got a ton, Anthony Davis got second. So if Rondo hits a jumper and beats you, like Mike Malone's like, all right, we decide not to guard the inbound pass. That's the way it's going to go. But Plumlee, brutal for you. Anthony Davis, you know it's a bad day, Broussard, when Anthony Davis hits the biggest shot of his life, and then you look on Twitter and the defender is trending. You're like, oh boy, this is not good for me, Broussard.
The one thing look, the series is over. We know that. And Nick said, I think Nick was saying sweep now. I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets come back and get a game. They did play well. Obviously, they can go in feeling like they should have won that game. So they may get one, but I do think the Lakers would be wise to get them out of there as soon as possible, because the last thing you want to do is give the Nuggets any life. They win the next game. They're thinking, hey, we really should be up 2-1, and then you got a problem on your hands. So the Lakers need to try to get them swept out of here, or at least go up 3-0 and get the series over with.
Hey, listen, LeBron's 22-0 in series when he's up 2-0. He's obviously undefeated when he's up 3-0 and 3-1. So the series is over. Whether it ends in 4 or 5, we'll see. By the way, the Lakers beat the Nuggets in the bubble on a buzzer beater, and we're trying to get that video for you guys. Plumlee did the exact same thing on the Kuzma buzzer beater. Runs to no one and just starts pointing. Mike Malone's done a great job, but maybe Mason Plumlee isn't your guy at these end-of-game situations. But as far as for the Lakers moving forward, Jenna, I'm a big believer that great players unlock the greatest part of their game after they become a champion. after you have the pressure and the removed of can you ever get it done? Are you clutch? And I say all that to say this. Anthony Davis just hit his first career playoff game winner, and in about 3 weeks, he's going to have his first career championship. It is absolutely in play that a guy who's been an MVP candidate since year 3 in the league, we're going to see the very best version that we've ever seen of Anthony Davis next season, which does speak to, as Brandon mentioned, Broussard mentioned, Wilds, I'm not sure why you glossed over it, LeBron's march to not 5, not 6, but maybe 7 rings. He said it once before. You laughed at him. Y'all thought he meant in Miami. Y'all thought he meant in Miami. Maybe he meant overall. Not 4, not 5, not 6. We'll see. We'll just see.
All right, Lakers get the big win over the Nuggets. They now take a 2-0 series lead. Broussard, as always, thank you so much.
I think Mason Plumlee's on the onside kick return.
On the other side. An unbelievable ending to the Falcons-Cowboys game. Next, first things first.
That's Mason Plumlee right there.
Talking Chiefs Chargers now. Let us pick this one up in overtime. You heard me correctly. Chiefs needing overtime for Harrison Butker to nail a 58-yard field goal. Actually did it twice. To beat a Chargers team playing a rookie quarterback in Justin Herbert. Despite getting over 300 yards passing and 2 scores from Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs still barely escape with the overtime win. Mike Vick is back with us. But, Nick, let me start with you here. Are you worried about this team needing overtime to beat the Chargers?
Oh, no, I'm not worried about them. Listen, I give the credit, immense credit to the Chargers. They had a brilliant defensive game plan. Forget anything the Chargers did on offense at first. They gave this Chiefs offense as much trouble as any team has ever given it since Mahomes has taken over. This is the second fewest points the Chiefs have scored with Mahomes as the starter. The only time they scored less was in a game where Tyreek Hill didn't play and Mahomes was injured throughout against the Colts last year. So great job by the Chargers defensive front, and it took 3 special Mahomes plays just to escape and 2 58-yard kicks. The 55-yard or 45-yard pass to Tyreek Hill was unbelievable. The 2-point conversion play was, I feel like, underrated in how tough it was. And on 3rd and 20, Mahomes ran for 21 to set up the field goal at the end of regulation. So you needed 3 special plays by the best player in the entire league. So, Brandon, I know you thought the Chargers could win this game. I didn't think that. I did think the Chiefs would roll. They obviously didn't roll. But it doesn't make me worried about them. If anything, it feels like another instance of the Chiefs overcoming a big deficit and coming out on top thanks to the brilliance of Mahomes late.
Yeah, I mean, every week we get an opportunity to pick an upset alert, right? An upset team. Yep. And this week I chose the Chargers over the Chiefs for this reason. That defense, and you alluded to it earlier. But you really got to start with 2 guys. You got to start with Bosa and you got to start with Ingram. I just thought that, this team was more than capable of really moving Mahomes off of his several spots. They were always going to have somebody in his face. So I thought they did a tremendous job. However, when you look at the second half, they just look gassed. That's what they look like, and I felt like if they were in a little bit better condition, this game would have definitely went the other way. When you look at the Chiefs and how they're set up for this year, I think they'll continue to roll. I think they'll beat the teams they're supposed to beat. But when you go against a team with a good defense, whether they meet a team in the playoffs,
next week.
The Ravens. You got the Ravens, and when you got a team that can play defense and really move Mahomes and also challenge Andy Reid, because Andy Reid, which we don't talk a lot about, but we do talk a lot about Andy Reid, but not in this way. It's not only how creative he is, but how he dials up those plays that he creates in the lab at the right time. And when you look at that game plan and what LA was able to do with the screens and the misdirection plays, they did a phenomenal job of just really moving this Chiefs teams off their spots, and that's why you saw them really struggle really bad.
Well, if you're going to struggle against a team, and the reason why I'm not worried about the Chiefs is they play the Chargers twice a year, every year. And Andy's been there for what, the last 6 or 7 years in Kansas City.
Yeah.
So the Chargers, they know how to play the Chiefs. The Chargers went down to Kansas City and they beat the Chiefs last year, if I'm not mistaken. So they have a ton of film on Patrick. They know how to play him, and the Chargers have a great defense, which makes for a tougher game. You need games like this, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, to, because you find out a lot about yourself and what you need to work on and things that you thought you did well. We might have to correct, or we might have to do them that much better the next time you play the Chargers. But anytime you play a team twice a year, especially in the same division, it's going to be very competitive. And I remember games against the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys, divisional teams, when I was with the Philadelphia Eagles. Some of the hardest games that you'll ever have to play in, and then you go out against another team that's, in the AFC, and you steamroll them. So, I expected the Chargers to play tough. I didn't think it was going to be easy, especially being on the road for the Chiefs. But for them to pull out the win, it has to give the team a great deal of confidence.
Wild.
Guys, why is Anthony Lynn punting the ball to Patrick Mahomes? I mean, Patrick Mahomes didn't catch the ball.
It's a bad play.
You might as well have would have run it back.
Play.
Why did he punt the ball in overtime? And I know the defense was playing great. And I know if you, like, the defensive stalwarts in the media, like, you got to trust your defense. Like, do you, though? That not only do you have Patrick Mahomes, you've got a kicker who looks otherworldly, whose Twitter handle is butt kicker. Like, and he's hitting 58-yard bombs. He hit one earlier in the day. Then even when they get the penalty and it moves back, and Andy Reid is still confident, like, yeah, dude, hit it again. It's all good. So as soon as I saw them kicking the ball to the Chiefs in overtime, I'm like, guys, are you trying to lose this game? And Nick, I'm sure it made you happy when you saw the kicking unit come out, which is just proof that they shouldn't have done it.
I was thrilled. Yeah, of course. No, listen, the last thing I wanted them to do was to try to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands. So I was thrilled when they punted there. In Anthony Lynn's defense, I think 28 of the 32 coaches in the league punt in that spot. Inside your own 40, early in overtime, I think most coaches punt. I just think all of them would be wrong, particularly against the Chiefs. But, Mike, there's a few points here that I don't want to be missed. One is, this is now the 6th straight time the Chiefs have won a game that they trailed by double digits. The last time they lost a game that they trailed by double digits was the AFC Championship game against New England, and even in that game, they got it to overtime, and a coin flip is what they never touched the ball, or else it might have been 7 straight. But the other one is this. And I do feel like the kicker is massive. The 2 best teams in the AFC have the 2 best kickers in football, in Butker and Tucker. And that's why this game was so important. There's only 1 bye this year. So if the Chiefs had lost this game, it's like, okay, they'll probably still be fine. But trying to get that #1 overall seed every single game matters. So they did escape with 1. They did kind of steal 1. And I'm curious to you, Mike, when you've been on the best teams that you've been on, how much confidence or lack of confidence is determined by how much faith you have in your kicker's ability to make those key kicks late in games.
It's nothing like having a good kicker. You cross that 50-yard line and that end zone looks closer and closer and closer, and sometimes you can't reach it. But if you got a guy who can consistently make kicks from 50 plus, or 30 to 40 yards in automatic, it just gives you the confidence that once you cross that 50, you got points on the board. And Andy Reid has done a great job of not only finding the best quarterback in the league and the best receivers and the best guys defensively, but he went out and found the kicker that he can really rely on, and that's a weapon. Every team in the league doesn't have a great kicker. I mean, you look around the league, I mean, guys missing extra points. This guy don't miss. So Andy hit it on the spot with this guy, and he'll be kicking for the Kansas City Chiefs for a long time. So, thank God for him. He put him in a position to win, and, they escaped with 1.
Yeah, I mean, also, it's hard to do all these things, but really, the Chargers showed us how to beat this team. You got to keep this guy, off his spot. You got to move him. you also got to keep everything in front of you, and you got to take away the screen game. You know, they're great at misdirection run plays. They're great at misdirection screens. And if you can do that, you'll have a chance. But not every team has a Bosa. Not every team has an Ingram.
Yeah.
So when you really look at this, you know, it's going to be hard to really stop this team moving forward. But I will say this and push the conversation forward to the other team. You know, when you look at Herbert, Mike, to me, them kicking that ball shows why you go back to Tyrod Taylor, because Coach Lynn showed everybody and told everybody, I don't trust this guy in the biggest moments. So Mike, I don't know how you see it, but if you're Coach Lynn, do you go back to Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah, I think you go back to the veteran. I think you let Tyrod go out and, you know, let his expertise and professionalism show. The guy got a lot of snaps up under his belt. He's been a starter. He knows what it's like. And this is a good Chargers team that can compete. And if they play well and win games, if they stack some wins, they can show up in the postseason. So I don't think this is an opportunity for them to, you know, go with a rookie, a guy who's unproven, who looked like a rookie in different spots yesterday, but also, you know, in the same breath can, you know, learn, you know, the more reps he get, you know, throughout the course of the season, the more games he play, which will be critical. But, you know, I think that's a tough decision for Anthony Lynn to make right now. But, you know, if I'm the head coach of the Chargers, I think I'm going back with Tyrod, at least for the next 3 or 4 games, to see what I can get out of him.
I'm really surprised. I'm just surprised. I was surprised Anthony Lynn after the game said he was going back to Tyrod. I was surprised when Brandon this morning said he should go back to Tyrod. I'm surprised Vick's agreeing with him. Wild, you mentioned, you know, as a Chiefs fan, what was I rooting for? I was rooting for them to punt in overtime. As a Chiefs fan, I was bummed out when I saw the rookie quarterback was coming in to start the game, because it added some variance to the game. And Herbert, while now, don't get me wrong, he made an egregious rookie mistake when the Chargers were in full control, and I get that. They're up 8. He could run for a first down. Instead, he throws across his body, across the field into triple coverage. It was terrible. But he played well, I thought. I thought he made some big throws throughout the game. And if you're a Charger fan this morning, I think Charger fans want to see Herbert out there again. I'm not saying they're going to immediately, but I bet Charger fans this morning want to see Justin Herbert in Week 3, Jenna.
Well, you drafted him
and he
number
only
one
found
for a
out he
reason.
was starting. Yep. Yeah, he only found out he was starting a few minutes before the game, and he still went out and he put on that performance again. All right, Mike, thank you so much. Seconds. Really appreciate it. Take a break. Coming up, the Patriots came oh so close last night in Seattle to a victory. That's next. First things first. Sunday, we got a huge doubleheader on Fox. First, the 49ers take on the Giants or other regional action. Then Dak and Zeke lead the Cowboys against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks in America's Game of the Week. Check local listings for the games in your area or watch it all on the Fox Sports app. Back to our top story this morning. Patriots and Seahawks. Pats at the goal line, down 5, a chance to win. Give it to Cam. He'll power it in, except when he can't. Cam getting stuffed at the goal line, and Seattle will take the win happily. But both Cam and Russ put on a show, 8 total touchdowns between them. After the game, Cam Newton on what happened on that final play.
Yeah, it was a great play by them. That's a play we had favored in the game plan. We ran it a couple times and figured, you know, just think we probably went to the well too many times, but at the end of the day, still felt confident about it. We just got to execute, and I could have bounced it. You know, looking at the clip, I just got to be better. Just got to be better here at the end, and you know, we put ourselves in a position to win, and you know, when you do that, you gotta finish, and we didn't do that today.
Can't blame that one on Cam Newton at all. He did have a great game. Brandon, what did you make of that final play where Cam got stopped at the goal line?
I didn't like it, Jenna. You heard Cam talk about it. You know, they went to the well one too many times. You know, I didn't like it because everyone in the world knew what they were going to do. When I was watching the broadcast, you know, I just heard the guy say, here comes the heavy package. I'm like, no more tight ends, no more tackles. I want to see the New England Patriots spread them out and give Cam, a run pass option, and they didn't do that. It's hard in the National Football League to gain a yard, to gain an inch when it's 3rd and short, when it's 4th and short, when you're in a tight red and everybody knows you're running. It's easy to call something and really clog all the gaps. So I didn't like the call. I thought that there was a possibility that we could see a pop pass where you see Cam fake the run and the tight end get out, and he's wide open in the back of the end zone, which we've seen several times before with him and Greg Olsen. So I was shocked to see that they committed to the run in this moment when you have Cam Newton, where you can go empty and you just create so many different mismatches. A lot of guys freak out when you see a quarterback start moving like Cam. They come off of their assignment, leave their guy, and there's somebody wide open standing in the quarter in the end zone or in the middle of the end zone. But I thought Cam Newton played well. I'm shocked to see that. I was shocked to see them in this position because they looked like they hit mid-season form. The question going in was, are this team going to continue to run? Is that the formula, to run Cam Newton 15, 16 times? Or is the formula, mix it up? We didn't know if Cam was going to be able to drop back and throw the ball. And I thought he didn't look good. I thought he looked great throwing the ball. It was probably one of his best performances spinning the ball. He was putting it in places where only the receiver can get it. And we've never seen Cam really do that. Was he accurate at times? Yes. But to literally say, you know what, I'm going to put it right here, that was special to see. And I think the NFL needs to take note because this Patriots team, once again, is a contender.
I totally agree, Brandon. And you know what? Bill Belichick's regular season record with the Patriots, 236 wins, 84 losses. And look, I know people are going to have an issue with this, but I think because I'm doing TV from my basement and I have a pen, I have the authority to officially put an asterisk against the 84. I'm going to turn that into a win or an asterisk for 83 losses and 1 asterisk loss. This was an actual win, not a moral victory, an actual win for the Patriots. Cam threw for 397 yards. This is his most yardage since 2011. Hall of Famer Julian Edelman, 8 receptions for 179 yards.
Wilds?
We know that we could beat you with your legs. Now Cam is back throwing the ball.
You know how it actually could have been an actual win?
What's happening?
You know how it could have been an actual win, a real win? If Julian Edelman didn't drop the game-winning touchdown pass. If Julian Edelman didn't drop this, then it would have been an actual win. We wouldn't have Cam getting submarined, perfect ball placement right through his hands. It's a bad drop by Edelman, who played it, to his credit, played a good game. Listen, Brandon, let me defend the play call. Listen, there is nothing I like more than second-guessing NFL coaches. It might be my favorite thing to do on television, other than preach the gospel of LeBron James. I really think it is. However, if I were Josh McDaniels, I go into that play knowing this. In Cam Newton's career, 19 times he's run the ball from inside the 2-yard line. 17 of those times he has scored a touchdown. It is the closest to a sure thing that you have in this league. And to me, Jakob Johnson just got blown up by L.J. Collier. Now, I know that's L.J.'s job, but it's also Jakob's job, the fullback, to not get submarined back. So, yes, they could have done something trickier, but I do feel like, tell me if you disagree here, if they spread them out, and they end up having Cam try to throw a quick pass or a run-pass option, and he throws it, and they lose. Isn't the commentary this morning, why don't you just run the ball? Why don't you just... Cam was unstoppable at the goal line. Yeah. Why don't you just do that? So I feel like if they didn't succeed here, they would be getting killed either way. But it does put a bit of a damper, obviously, on what was, as you put, a great Cam Newton performance overall, Brandon.
Call it a win.
I mean, yeah, you just said it. It was great. I mean, you do what you do best, and you do what players do best, and obviously going 17 for 19, that's one of his better skill sets. But I just love having two options. I love the option where the quarterback can throw the ball down the field or throw the ball in the end zone, but also take off and run it. You know, there's only a handful of guys in the NFL that can make good decisions like that and put their team in a good position, and Cam is one of them. So when the game is on the line for me, I would prefer to actually go empty.
That's fair.
Give my quarterback those options to do both.
Fair.
And while
best option would have been
I'm
Edelman
sure
catch the ball.
Still a win.
Catch the ball.
Still not a win,
Catch the
actually.
ball.
Still not a win, in case people are just coming to us. Falcons, Cowboys last night. Pick it up late. Dallas needed to recover that onside kick, and they did. This is a team that was trailing by 20 in the first quarter. Somehow, some way, climbs back in and got their own onside kick and marched down the field and kicked a 46-yarder to win this game. Somehow, Cowboys pulling off the improbable. Here is the winning quarterback, Dak Prescott, after the win.
Yeah, this is huge. Coach McCarthy said at halftime, we need to be here. We need to be right where we are. And he said the final score didn't matter as much as finding out the type of men that we have, the type of fight that we have within this team. But as I said, to show the resiliency, to go out there and continue to fight, continue at it, and just be able to come out with the win, it does so much. Obviously, way better than starting 0-2, but going 1-1 and having a lot of confidence after we put ourselves in such a big hole in the first quarter. Just to stay at it and everybody believes in each other, that was huge in so many ways.
That one time Nick and I had dinner and he showed up with that hat, those were good times. Nick, how impressive was this 20-point comeback by the Cowboys?
I wasn't impressed at all, Brandon. And in fact, we all laughed at Wilds saying both the Patriots and the Seahawks should get a win. But if the NFL announced this morning, Brandon, Patriots and Seahawks both get a win, but to make it even, the Cowboys and Falcons both get a loss, I'm 100% good with that. Brandon, the Cowboys had no business winning that game, but neither did the Falcons.
That's right.
They both should have lost that game. I still don't know how the Cowboys won it, Brandon.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think all of us had our takes ready to go. At the end of that first quarter, we were all ready to crush the Cowboys. You know, it's a team that's really been put on a pedestal for a very long time, and they really haven't earned it. So to see them come back, I think it speaks a lot to the character of this team, starting with Dak Prescott. He played phenomenal. It's hard to lose the turnover battle and still win the game. They were down 20 points. We know that. 3 turnovers. They had a 0.1% chance, I believe, or a 0.1% chance to actually come back and pull it off. So that was impressive, Wilds. I know all morning Nick and I have been fighting and going back and forth with this onside kick. He thinks it was bad coaching. He thinks it was a bad play. I just think that they were in a tough spot because this kicker had the perfect kick and the perfect speed to keep guys indecisive. I don't know how you saw it, Wilds, but I'm interested to hear where you go with this.
What a day for kickers on First Things First. Between the Cowboys kicker and your Chiefs kicker, this has been the most pro kicker show since I'm sure McAfee's more pro kicker than us, but we're second place. We get the silver medal. Brandon, I don't know what is happening here. I know that you're you're reluctant to criticize Julio, but earlier you said this is Julio's ball and he didn't come up with it. So who are you placing blame on? Don't just say it was a great kick. It was a fine kick, but obviously
it's one of those. It's one of those moments, Wilds. It's one of those moments, man, where everybody on that receiving team was in a tough spot because we're taught when the ball looks like it's not going to 10, stay away from it. That's what we're taught. So, you know, everybody on that front line, their job is to go block, but it's going, you know, it's barely making it to 10 yards. Julio's like, oh, it's not going to make it. It's just a tough spot to be in because it was the perfect speed.
Why are you all fired up?
I just fall on the ball. Do something. Don't just watch it. They were like the 18,000 in the stadium just watching it. Hands, team. Use your hands. Just bat it out of bounds. Do something. Fall on the ball.
All right, Cowboys get the win.
Falcons.
The conversation continues.